Why don't you give me a sign? Like the sea that leaves a trail along that shore. It's not your problem, it's mine. Everybody thinks that I'm okay. Sometimes I think I am too. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm waiting for the shockwaves to begin. Oh, won't you let me hold you for one time? Just a rainy day in a London cafe, a London cafe. So give me one last serenade. Say to me or swear at me till the night turns into day. And it was a shame when daylight faded, because we didn't notice at all.
Whoa! Baby Clade! What is the president doing in our front yard?
Our entire world is in grave danger. I want you to come with me on an expedition.
I'm not my father.
Hello and welcome to the Fan Carpet. I'm Anna Fenn and we are here at Disney's premiere in London's Leicester Square for the UK premiere of Strange World. Well, it's wonderful speaking to you both this evening. How are you both doing?
We're doing great, thank you.
Yeah, this is a great time.
Excellent. So tell us about the collaborative process of creating this film. How did it all begin?
Well, it started in 2017 where I finished Moana and I thought about my next movie. What was on my mind were my kids and what kind of world they're going to inherit and what kind of world I inherited. So right then and there, I wanted to tell a generational story that dealt with the environment. But I also love action-adventure movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, King Kong, and so I wanted to, explore that genre with the thematic of what it means to be a good ancestor.
That seems like such an important point in this film about the legacy and about caring for the environment. What is it about this that you think will teach people to be better custodians of it?
Well, I think it's about when you're discovering this world, it's like our world, the one we actually live on, is a strange place, right? Like we have, some of the research was looking at the strangest areas on Earth that could, it'd be an inspiration for this place. And to understand how wondrous this place is, it makes you actually want to care for it even more. Because you're like, oh, this is a spot that has a lot of beauty in it.
Completely. There's so much beauty in this world. What's the strangest thing you've ever encountered in comparison to this film? What do you think is something that is so bizarre that it could even capture the essence of strange?
Oh man, now I'm on the spot. I got nothing. What do you got?
The strangest thing. I'm also listening to Gabrielle right behind me. What is the strangest thing that's happened? Our collaboration is pretty strange. Like the fact that we get along after 4 years, being trapped in small rooms together for a very long time, that somehow we didn't fight the entire time is a miraculous, breathtaking thing in itself.
I'll echo that.
I got nothing. Oh, that was the most phoned-in answer ever. I'm sorry.
I thought we were going to get something so creative here. I was expecting something like...
That's why we hire the amazing artists that we have.
Yeah, I think we just revealed that we got nothing to offer. It's everybody. It's all the other artists that are the amazing ones. We're nothing.
Well, no, but you're the people who are, captaining the ship. You're directing it to where it needs to go with all the artistic team and all the actors and everybody else on board. So that's really important that we have people who know what they're doing and where they're going with it. But the fact that you get on so well just shows, about family and about communication. Tell us more about the family in this film and about the generational conflict that they experience.
Well, I think it's a fairly relatable thematic, generational conflict, and even Ethan's specific story is my story. I was being trained to be a farmer by my dad, and at a certain point, I had to say that's not my path, and my path is wanting to go do animation. It wasn't as dramatic as what's in the film, but is based on a very real moment in my life.
See, well, I'm sure it comes across very clearly in that sense. But yeah, we're so excited tonight to have it here because a few days ago you were in Hollywood for the premiere. Is that right? That's right. Well, look, thank you so much for speaking to us, and I hope you have a wonderful night tonight.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think with the Clades, like many families, each
each person, each generation feels like they had the right answer. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Jaeger Clade, played by Dennis Quaid, he's like, I'm an adventurer and I'm making the best choice. Turns out he missed a lot of family time that he could never get back. His son, in direct relationship to that, Searcher, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, he decides to be a farmer so he can spend more time with his family, but he wants his son, Ethan Clade, played by Jaboukie Young-White, to also be a farmer, but that is not what Ethan wants. Meridian is pretty much the voice of reason, pilot turned crop duster, and very devoted, loving, affectionate wife to Searcher and mother to Ethan.
You know, Jake is amazing because he's got a theatrical background as well as a cinematic background. And that theatrical background I find really is great for vocal performances. Beyond that, though, Jake wants to be involved in the story. And the first time we met with him, it was supposed to be an hour meeting. It ended up being 2.5 hours. And he wanted to be involved. And, animation is an iterative art, and he was part of the iteration of making this film.
So Ethan Clade is a 16-year-old, the son of Searcher Clade, the grandson of Jaeger Clade. Searcher is a farmer and he really wants Ethan to follow in his footsteps, but Ethan kind of has other things planned for himself and wants to be a little bit more like his grandfather. And when Ethan doesn't get permission, he decides to just ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, the first time we met with Dennis for this, and we had pitched him the story, he came in, and Don started to kind of repitch, to remind, and he goes, no, I have an idea, let me, and he came out with Jaeger Clade, and Don and I looked at one another and went, oh my gosh, that's Jaeger. And from then on, he just went wild. I mean, it's a bigger than life character, and Dennis just had the most fun, and he's one of the funniest guys I've ever worked with.
It's wonderful to speak to you, Jaboukie. Coming from such an amazing career so far of being a comedian, which congratulations, such a rising star, could you tell us how that compares to working on an animation and lending your voice to it?
I think it definitely overlaps. Some of my favorite Disney performances have been, Robin Williams, Genie, not Disney, but Donkey, Eddie Murphy. I think those performances, I just remember being so enamored by them, just how freewheeling they got to be, and then getting older and seeing how much fun they had with that. I'm like, I know that they just kind of were like letting it rip, and Don and Qui kind of let us do that, and there is so much extra footage that didn't make it in this that I had a lot of fun doing, and ended up informing the project in like little ways, but I think it translates a lot. There's a lot of overlap.
Incredible.
Oh, I'm glad you recognize it. It is one of the most fantastic worlds. What we had to do is basically at times, we're animated on top of creatures. So the animation is actually moving. Oh, I'm sorry. The animation is actually moving on top of creatures, and so there's not a steady ground plane that they're working on. So there was a lot of work with the animators, with the layout artists, with the camera. The camera work in this film is phenomenal. It's just brilliant. But those were the big challenges.
I remember seeing the visuals when they were just doing the pitch deck and talking about the film. The visuals are some of the best parts of this project. It just is really inspired by Pulp Fiction, classic adventure, and it's gorgeous. It's a really fun trip.
Yeah, I mean, as a mother of an LGBTQIA child, I live this, so I know how much of a challenge it is to find representation for my child so they can see themselves reflected on screen. And I know families across the world have that same, are in that same fight. So being a part of a film that is part of addressing some of that representation feels great, and I'm incredibly proud.
I think when you see the film, it's a loving family, and it's a loving family trying to figure out how to get along with one another. But fundamentally, there's love there, and that's, and you can feel it in the performances. We have such a great cast with Jake Gyllenhaal and Gabrielle Union and Jaboukie Young-White. I mean, they're so amazing. So the family is just dynamite.
It was amazing. I think The great part about that was a lot of live action stuff that I read or that I see doesn't necessarily do that. What I think the triumph of Ethan's character is that he just is who he is. He's not grappling with his identity. His family isn't grappling with his identity. He's just kind of readily accepted, and he has bigger fish to fry. I think that's really beautiful. That aspect is really interesting just because I worked on Baymax, which was one of the first openly queer lead characters in Disney history, Mabita. And doing that, I love animation, love showing up to work in my pajamas and some flip-flops. I love doing the work. I love every aspect of it. So that is enough for me. But then when it came out, the response and what that meant to people, that just made it all the more worth it. And you really can't anticipate that stuff. It's just, it finds who it needs to find. And it was really beautiful. And I'm excited to see how people respond to Strange World.
Absolutely. We are building films and around the world today. And, you know, the thing that I love about Ethan is that he is this wonderful human being who has compassion. And, you know, he just is. And he's so important to the story and so instrumental to what happens in the story. And it's, you know, it reflects the people that we work with. It reflects the people that are here at this event. It's just part of our world. To quote another Disney film, actually.
I think what's really beautiful is that there's a nuanced depiction of fatherhood in this film, just because Jake isn't perfect. Jaeger's definitely not perfect. But they all were trying, you know? They weren't thinking that they were doing something malicious, which I think is every parent. And then the child usually has a differing opinion of that. But I think it just shows people trying and not always succeeding, but the trying is that's the important part.
Yeah, climate change, how we are, as a part of this global village, have to look out for one another. And it kind of starts by healing those generational traumas, because how you treat your family is in direct relation to how you treat this earth and how you view your fellow citizens. It's going to take us all working together, and just like any highly functioning family, it takes us all working together, listening to each other, and then taking action.
Well, you know, it's what I love about it. It's not jammed down anyone's throat. It's just there, and it's clear. And I just think the best thing is for people to, when they leave the theater, when they leave the cinema, have a conversation. And in the next morning, they'll probably have another conversation. And then that night when the kids come home from school, they'll have another conversation. I just want this to really cause people to converse.
I think for global audiences, this film has an endpoint for everyone. You know, we've all been a child at one point, and some of us are parents. I think, you know, there's a relation that is universal in that way. Just the dynamic of having parents and your parents having expectations for you and you having expectations for yourself, and where those things match up, where those things don't match up. I feel like that's something that everybody can relate to.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more exciting content.
Family ties and all of our strangeness.
That's what I'm talking about.
Over the, no, around the,
Yeah.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.